Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com, and in this video we're looking at a dive watch from Doxa with the sub 200 with the black Sharkhunter dial. So if you're not familiar with this channel, this is where we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive in this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout the video. Have further questions, looking to buy this watch, check out the link in the description down below to the product page, where you can also ask one of my team members on live chat. We're all around the clock, 18 hours a day on live chat. Have any questions, we can answer it about this watch. But without further ado, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. The Doxa brand is certainly among the stars of the classic dive watch universe. And the Doxa we think of first is almost invariably the orange dial sub 300 professional, as well as the black dial Sharkhunter version worn by the legendary oceanographer Jacques Cousteau. But Doxa's diving history predates the 1967 introduction of the 300. And today we're looking at a watch that harks back to those earlier models, specifically the twisted lug cases that preceded the tonneau-shaped sub 300 we associate most with the brand. This is the sub 200, specifically the Sharkhunter variant, and it is a fantastic looking callback to the early 1960s. And best of all, it represents the entry point into the modern Doxa lineup at just a shade above $1,000 at retail. And if you're not a fan of black dials, the brand certainly has you covered in that regard as well, as you have 7 other colorways to choose from. But today we're going to take a closer look at the sub 200 that most closely resembles its vintage inspiration, the black dial Sharkhunter model. You'd be forgiven if you thought the case of the sub 200 was a creation merely copying other cases around the industry. But make no mistake, this case is a direct callback to Doxa's history. The lyre lug design gets its appearance from the vintage Doxa Sharkhunter from the early 1960s, known as the reference 11804-4. The case was sourced from the same Swiss case maker that supplied Omega and Eberhard for their dive watches at the time, as brands of the day often used the same suppliers for parts like cases, dials, and movements. The modern day version of the stainless sub 200 case clocks in with a diameter of 42 millimeters, a compact lug to lug measurement of 46 millimeters, and a case thickness of 13.7 millimeters, with some of that height being the result of the vintage looking dome sapphire crystal. The case itself is rather slim and wears exceptionally well, with an overall presence that wears more like a 40 millimeter case thanks to its forgiving length, which leaves little risk of overhang even on the smallest of wrists. The retro looking bezel features a sapphire insert in black with khaki colored lume, adding to the vintage vibes with a look that recalls acrylic. Bezel action is pretty solid and offers minimal play in its 120 clicks. You'll find an attractive combination of brushed and polished surfaces with a bevel that travels the entire length of the case and those classic twisted lugs that give a proper vintage look. The screw down crown is slightly recessed, negating the need for crown guards, and it features the Doxa fish logo rendered in the trademark orange. The lug width measures in at 19 millimeters, so strap swapping isn't as simple as it could be for a more standard 18 or 20 millimeter size, but Doxa's black FKM rubber strap is a fine option, and it sports a beads of rice texture and a signed pin buckle. And if an actual beads of rice bracelet is more of your taste, Doxa offers that option for a mere $40 upcharge over the rubber. If you're familiar with the Doxa sub 300, you're no doubt also acquainted with the rainbow of color choices when it comes to dials, each one getting its own unique name. And the Sharkhunter is definitely among the more conservative picks with its no-nonsense black dial, but it sticks to its vintage inspiration down to the aged effect on the Superluminova filled hour markers and the pencil-style handset. The polished rectangular markers are a stylistic turn away from the sub 300's painted dial details, offering a bit more versatility when you want to dress things up. Minute markings are printed with white hash marks, and the date window also gets a white surround at the 3 o'clock. The muted dial text sticks to the simple facts, with Doxa at 12, sub 200 at 6, and Swiss made sitting at the bottom of the dial at 6. The dial taken as a whole is handsome, versatile, highly legible, and has an aesthetic that recalls those vintage references from the mid-20th century. As its introduction, the sub 200 was powered by the venerable ETA 28242, a reliable workhorse that could be easily serviced just about anywhere. Now with the Swatch Group virtually eliminating supply of ETA movements to third parties, the movement of choice has become Sellita for many brands. Doxa only specifies Swiss mechanical automatic on their marketing materials, but it doesn't take a whole lot of detective work to figure out that the automatic Sellita SW200 has become the drop-in replacement for ETA. So even though it's hidden behind the solid screw-down caseback, the SW200 is going to be the direct replacement to the ETA 2824, offering virtually the same performance, so one is not necessarily superior to the other, and Sellita has greatly been improving and also gaining market share as ETA has been much more selective proactive on allowing their movements to be available outside of the swatch group. The Sleeta features 26 joules, a Niviflex mainspring, shock protection, and it runs at a rate of 28,800 vibrations per hour or 4 Hz. It features hacking and hand winding, hacking stop in the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 38 hours. So now to unpack when looking at the Doxa Sub 200 Sharkhunter. Let's start with some of the cons, then we'll shift into the pros. I would say the number one con, even though I do not necessarily care about lume that much, it does feel wrong to see the performance of this lume in a brand that has this reputation for dive watches. The lume, quite frankly, in these pieces in the sub 200 range are not good. They're actually closer to terrible than not good. And I think for a brand like Doxa, that's why I'm a bit more harsh in this circumstance. Do I care about lume that much? Not really, but I think many Doxa buyers will care about lume. And then the 38-hour power reserve might just feel like it's falling behind nowadays. At a 2824, the SW200 really set that standard, but now you're starting to see many other alternatives having power reserves closer to 50 to 60 to 70 hours. But now shifting over to the pros, and maybe looking specifically at this Sharkhunter model. One of the challenges with Doxa is it's almost a brand where you look at it and you're like thinking to yourself, I think I could pull that off, or that watch is definitely not for me. But when it comes to the Sharkhunter, I don't think the same rules apply. This is a watch from Doxa that is going to allow people that love the brand to still find connection to it, but also those that might be on the fringe that never considered Doxa before, then sees this piece and might be more attracted to what it's bringing to the table. You have a case and dial that are pulled basically out of a time capsule from the 1960s. The case size, I think, nails it. Even though 42 millimeters on paper might seem like it's too large, this fits like a 40 millimeter on wrist. So you're getting some very wearable dimensions here no matter your wrist size. The dome sapphire crystal is well done while playing into that retro theme throughout this whole design. The straps are comfortable both from the rubber as well as the beads of rice bracelet, and is a great entry-level point and alternative to the sub 300 and 300T. If you look at what this watch represents more broadly for a dive watch around $1,000, whether you're looking at Switzerland, Japan, you could argue this is as good as any in this price range and should be on a short list. And as you think even more generally about the history of dive watches, some of the most important names in the industry, we know the luxury names that spring to mind first, but at the center of all of the innovation of dive watches in the 1960s, you have to look at Doxa. And to get a watch from a brand like this with that much importance to the whole genre of dive watches at around a price range of $1,000, the Sub 200 is a great entry point for those that are looking maybe for their first Doxa watch, or just looking for a phenomenal all-arounder for a dive watch around $1,000 with historical roots to back it up. All right, guys, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. Also, if you are in the market for this watch, we do have it available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer for over 30 brands. Every watch that we sell on our website comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, full factory warranty. Also, if you have any questions about some of the watches we have on our website for sale, just reach out to one of my team members. 18 hours a day, we are on live chat there to answer your questions. And then also how you're able to support the content here, how we're able to really run this entire business is through selling watches. So if you are in the market for a watch, we'd love to have your business. Allow us to keep doing what we're doing here. We love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I'll see you all very soon.